my little noodle will never be able to wrap itself around is a streamer calling their audience broke or poor. Bub, your wealth was built on their backs. Them watching you supplied you with money through the ads that get played to them. Them directly donating to you took their money and gave it to you. If they weren't watching you, you would be getting no sponsors, which make up a lot of streamers' income. You need them, and you are dropping trouser and shitting in their mouth right now by just insulting them over them having legitimate criticisms over the price point of the product. It makes no sense. Your wealth was accumulated because of these people you're now calling broke and poor. It is incomprehensible to me. You were made from these people that you are now shaming. It's so weird and so fucked up. Now, again, $28 for a 4-pack of cookies is a hard bargain. This is already priced out a normal consumer. This is purely for your fans that want to support you. So they are the only ones that will likely be buying this. $28 is not going to be like mass adopted by just normal snack shoppers and enthusiasts that want a good healthy snack, I don't think. It is a lot, even compared to other healthy alternatives. Because I do get healthy snacks. I know what a lot of these prices are. This is still an expensive product. I wouldn't be paying $28 for a 4-pack of cookies unless that came with 5 strippers and legitimately every vitamin and nutrient my body could ever need, and then guarantee that I'd get 3 inches taller by the time I finish the 4 bags. Now, that's not saying that the quality of the cookies is bad or something. Like, they look good. They might be extraordinary. I probably would enjoy them. They're probably pretty tasty. But they are an expensive product that I probably wouldn't pay for. This is definitely something that is 100% geared and marketed towards her audience of fans that want to support her, and now she is publicly shaming a big chunk of them, I imagine, who don't want to spend $28 on some cookies. Like, it's a very fair thing for people to talk about. Like, hey, Pokimane, this is kind of a lot for the cookies. And for her to go on stream and boil it down to people being idiots who can't do math or a broke boy is just, it's so mean and just bad. Like, not only just from like a personality perspective to say some shit like that and shame people that support you, but it's also just bad from a business perspective because this is all sold off of your reputation and people wanting to support you, and now you've done a huge disservice to that here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's something that 3 years ago she criticized another streamer for. Like, it seems like she recognizes that insulting your audience for their financial situation is a horrible thing to do. Because 3 years ago, she made these tweets in response to someone who was like shaming their audience over like not donating $5 or subbing for $5. I saw people passing around these tweet links, and like, she clearly was able to recognize then, like, hey, a lot of people that watch you might not be in the best financial situation, but that doesn't mean you need to be, nasty to them about it or make them feel bad about it or try and shame them or insult them. But then 3 years later, she just did. I don't know how this is going to play out for the future of her new snack company. It's definitely not a great start, not really hitting the ground running. A bit of a stumble here, I would say. But I guess who really knows? Maybe her audience responds really positively to this kind of thing. I'm not certain. Personally, I feel it's a terrible look. I've never really respected when people try and look down on others who have less money than them or insult them for not being as wealthy as they are. I think that is just absolute trash behavior. So this was a pretty surprising clip to see floated around today. That's really about it. See ya. I was an ex. At the risk of just sounding like I escaped from a padded cell, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume I'm not the only one that does this, where you brainstorm this absolute ridiculous fantasy about what you would do in a perilous situation. How would you stop a criminal if you had to, right? So you're out at a restaurant, you start like looking around, and for some reason you just play through this fanfic in your head of, what if a bad guy comes in with a bazooka? What's the protocol? How do I save the day and keep everyone alive? And, whatever. Everyone plays out this hero fantasy in their head, I think. And today, I saw a news story where I have no doubt the main character here had this envisioned in his head since the time he was a child and actually got to pull it off successfully. There was a criminal on the loose, and he was apprehended by the most unlikely of suspects. Like, I would have been less shocked if it was Captain fucking Underpants. that caught this guy than who it actually was. A golfer. A dude just casually out there chugging some brewskis with the boys on the front nine ended up catching a criminal in one of the wackiest ways I've ever seen.
Police cars pour onto a golf course. They're going after a suspected bad guy. But no need to hurry. He's trapped in a porta potty.
We couldn't believe that he went inside there.
I can't believe this isn't a skit. It's real. This is legitimate. Life sometimes imitates cartoons. So, what happened is, I'll let the rest of the news segment play in a moment, but I want to break down the cliff notes. A criminal was running away from authorities, and he tried to hide inside of a porta potty for cover, basically playing it like a stealth game, where you're trying to de-aggro by going inside of something like in Assassin's Creed where you dive into some hay. He went into a porta potty. One of the golfers saw this and also saw the authorities were looking for him and took this as his moment of opportunity to strike. So all his neurons were firing and he came up with a genius scheme here where he would tip over the porta potty and trap him inside. And for anyone that's been around the internet for a while, you'll know that this was actually like a nefarious, like downright evil thing that some people would do to strangers in porta potties where they would tip it over, it would land on its door and it would trap them in there and it'd cause all like the poop and pee and everything in the porta potty to splash around on top of them. Absolutely degenerate, I think, criminal prank. But here, he took something truly awful and turned it into a force of good. So he tips over the porta potty, causes it to fall on its door, meaning the criminal that's on the run is now trapped inside that porta potty. But not only that, all the contents from inside the porta potty are now all over him. So he's covered in all kinds of shit and piss. Like, he probably contracted more diseases than the Oregon Trail. Like, this man's probably got dysentery and fatal fart disease now from this. Like, he added insult to injury by not only catching him, but covering him in toilet waste. It couldn't be worse. That is a fate worse than just going to prison. Being trapped in a porta potty you can't get out of. Oh my lord, it is so revolting.
The bizarre case starts when a stolen car crashes outside Milwaukee. 4 people inside take off. There goes one, then another, then the third, then the fourth. Cops say one of the bad guys ran to the golf course. Not exactly a great place to hide with all that wide open space. So what'd he do? He jumped into a porta potty. Fortunately, a golfer saw what was happening and tipped the porta potty over.
I can just picture this scene playing out in my head. The guy who tipped the porta potty over, our savior, his name is Adam. So he sees the criminal run into the porta potty and he immediately gets to thinking, it's time to start stinking. He gets a big smirk on his face, slowly sets the 5-iron back in the golfing bag. He was about to hit a spectacular shot, eagling the par 5, but he says, it can wait. I've got business to tend to. And then just fucking sprints over and blasts the porta potty over, trapping him inside. This guy obviously knew that he had to tip it over onto the door. This is a guy who was familiar with that old awful prank people used to do, and he turned it into a force for good. That's crazy.
Golfer Alyssa Boland was there.
He made a quick decision to tip it over, walked away and said, good luck, buddy.
You can just imagine what happened next. The suspect found himself trapped inside.
Don't let this deceive you. Don't get it twisted. This was after the suspect had been apprehended. So they had pushed the porta potty over so that way the door was on its side so he could climb out. But when it was initially tipped over, it was on the door. So there was no escape. He was truly at the mercy of whoever would come to free him from this fucking fate worse than death, being trapped in a porta potty with everything sloshing around on you. And I think it is so badass that the guy who did it didn't stick around to give an interview or anything. He just pushes it over, apparently said, good luck, buddy, and left. He just sailed off into the sunset, held his head up high and said, I did good today. Like, he wanted no part of any kind of fame or glory or recognition for this. He didn't want the keys to the city. He just wanted to go back to finishing his game. He probably still went and eagled that par 5.
Back at the clubhouse, a police officer commandeers a golf cart and drives over to the porta potty. The cops roll the porta potty over so the suspect can get out.
Come out! Crawl out, dude!
Then he states the obvious. He's not exactly smelling of roses.
Don't do anything stupid.
One cop puts on gloves before he goes anywhere near the suspect. Hey, wouldn't you?
Are you injured at all?
I'm just scratching
And
I will say, at least he didn't have to spend that long stewing in all the juices of the porta potty. He wasn't in there for that long. Like, this didn't become like a sarcophagus form where he's in there for like hours upon hours or anything. He was there for a little while. Even still, of course, it's awful, but he did have another thing working in his favor in terms of this porta potty in particular. It's on a golf course, so I can't imagine that it's that full. Like, it probably wasn't at maximum poop capacity or anything. Like, there was probably only a little bit of shit and pee in there. It probably wasn't crazy. If this had been a porta potty at like EDC Music Festival or Coachella, you would have went straight to heaven the second the cursed fluids inside of that porta potty touched your skin. If you were in one of those porta potties that got tipped over, it would have sent you to meet your maker. It probably would have melted you instantly. It would have been like that scene in Indiana Jones when they open the Ark of the Covenant and everyone's fucking flesh just starts melting off of them and they die instantly. That would have been what happened with one of those porta potties. So it definitely could have been worse in terms of porta potty selection. This porta potty seems to be in the middle of nowhere on a golf course. I imagine it wasn't a high traffic area. It probably wasn't seeing a ton of action. If I had to get tipped over in a porta potty, I would probably want it to be this one. Like, I'm going out on a limb here. This could be an absolute catastrophe in there. I'm really not sure. We didn't get like an aftermath report where they do like a tour of what the porta potty looked at after it was tipped over. But I'm just giving it the old eyeball test here. I didn't see a ton of like horrifying things in the porta potty for the brief moment we caught a glimpse of it. So I don't think it was the worst in the world. There's definitely worse porta potties it could have been. Of course, I'm sure he's still not happy about the situation. Like, like definitely still horrifying, but you know, there's definitely more disastrous porta potties to be tipped over in. I'm getting a little sidetracked. What a crazy way of apprehending a runaway criminal here from someone who just happened to see the whole thing unfold and have this opportunity to help by pushing over a fucking porta potty. Like, the simplest thing ever from, like, old internet days of the worst pranks ever, and it actually ended up being helpful. And then the guy, the dude who tipped it over, has just vanished. He said, I'm done here. This is my legacy now. That's it. So just a wacky situation I wanted to cover a little bit. That's it. See ya. I was an extra in the Yesterday there was a fight that almost happened that had more hype than Mayweather vs. Pacquiao, than Muhammad Ali vs. Tyson, than Joey Chestnut vs. a plate of 60 hot dogs. It was a fight that took place, almost, in an unlikely Thunderdome, a very odd octagon, a Senate hearing. We were so close to witnessing the glory of what it must have been like to live during the medieval ages when disagreements were settled with a duel to the death. Two consenting adults, a challenge was issued, a challenge was accepted, but unfortunately, they didn't get to exchange knuckle sandwiches. Their tummies were left empty because they put the kibosh on it. They weren't allowed to scrap. They weren't allowed to get after it, unfortunately. And damn it, what a shame. Somewhere out there in the multiverse, there is a dimension where this did happen, and it broke all of the viewership records for fights. But unfortunately, we don't inhabit that reality.
Today is quite different. But after you left here, you got pretty excited about the keyboard. In fact, you tweeted at me 1, 2,
so fire.
3, 4, 5 times. And let me read what the last one said. It said,
I thought that was Adam Sandler.
CEO who pretends like
Kinda.
he's self-made. Sir, I wish he was in the truck with me when I was building my plumbing company. Myself and my wife was running the office because I sure remember working pretty hard and long hours. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy.
And the gauntlet's getting dropped.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
No,
guy.
no, stop it.
Is that your
All right.
solution, every
Hold it. No, no, sit down. Sit down. Okay.
Oh, boo! Let them fight.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
Let them fight.
Hold it. Hold it.
Oh, Jesus. The gavel comes out, and that's where it ends, unfortunately. They should have settled it the old-fashioned way. Pugilistic fisticuffs. Let it ride. Stronger man wins. God, it could have been so hype. There's also a guy in the background here whose expression really sums it all up. This guy right here. Biggest fucking smile on his face. Just like all of us, he wants to see this unfold. That's hardcore, though. This is a time. This is a place. Do you want to settle it now? He starts taking his wedding ring off. That actually was hard. Armstrong, is that you? Yeah, fucking nanomachine, son. Seemed like a consensual duel. Exactly! It was a consensual duel. Like, there's gotta be some kind of, like, old rhetoric in the Constitution somewhere that still exists, because, I mean, there's still shit in there from, like, the 1700s, that says if two senators or two men in a Senate hearing agree to a fight, it must unfold. And it's illegal to break it up. There's gotta be something in there like that. Never thought we'd see a on-site moment at a Senate hearing. Dude brought the receipts, too. He came in with the fucking tweets, and he's like, let's just do it. Let's run it. Stand the fuck up. Or, excuse me, stand your butt up. I like how they keep saying butt. Like you're about to fight, you can at least say ass. I think that's warranted. I do hope they schedule some kind of fight. Like, shit. I'll host a boxing event for them or something, or cage fight, street fight, I don't know. I want to see this happen now. I don't know shit about Mr. O'Brien, and I also don't know shit about Senator Mullen, but man, this would be a crazy fight to see. They look like they got that old man muscle. Put them in a real MWL fight. Oh, that's kind of fire. Yeah, wait, that's pretty good. Our first senator match. Actually do it. Do either one of them have their DMs open? They're clearly very active on Twitter since this is where it all stemmed from. Let me see. I'll see if either one of them have open DMs. Senator Mullen does not. What about Sean O'Brien? Neither does Sean. Unlucky. Every election cycle there's a Senate street fight. That'd be so good. It's what we need. You did not want to feel the burn here, unfortunately. Let them fight. They both agreed to it. Everyone was excited. Just let it happen. This guy's excited. This guy's excited. He's kind of indifferent. Out their differences. Mullen accepted, but the two kept shouting at each other until the next senator, Democratic Senator Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire, started her questioning by talking over them. It's looking unlikely that... Good morning, and welcome back to Wacky Weirdo Hour. Boy howdy, do we have an action-packed lineup for you today. Get out your cup of coffee, enjoy your cereal. It's about to be a bit of a ride. Sometimes I'm asked, why do I do this to myself? Why do I dabble in the swamp of cringe? What's the purpose? What's there to gain from staring into the abyss and letting the abyss stare back into you? And the thing is, I unironically feel there's real value here in some lessons to be learned from the lunacy. Let's say there's people out there that haven't really experienced a lot socially in life, suckling mother's bosom, and has never really branched out from the nest to get their own wings and become the social butterfly that they are destined to be. Sometimes people might not recognize that the behavior they're exhibiting is not good and is bad, not productive, is not going to lead anywhere. So by going over some of these absolutely atrocious, downright painful exchanges in the dating scene or like romantic interest, I feel like it can serve as a scared straight kind of moment, like, behold, don't be this guy. And you're like, oh, I don't want to be that guy. What the fuck? He sucks. Okay. All right. I get it now. I know what not to do. Or maybe I'm just reading way too deep into all this. I'm not a fucking hero. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a guy here laughing at some goofy situations. Anyway, the story for today is one I got tagged in a lot last night when I was at a Lightning game. So I actually watched it unfold in real time and had a sneaking suspicion that by morning this would no longer exist. The poster would probably remove it because things went out of control. That shit went cattywampus. And I was right. The posts were deleted, but I saved them. I made sure to. I said, dag nabbit, you're not keeping this from me. You think you can hide cringe, brush it under the rug, and I won't find it? Nope, I'm lifting that rug up with a big old smile on my face. I'll say, thank you so much for this, yum yum yum, scrumptious. So I got the Library of Alexandria of Cringe, and let's just go ahead and explore. I had to censor so many handles that were tagged in this initial tweet here. It was like a fucking CIA document with all the redactions. But anyway, I've got it in working order. I don't want anyone harassed here, including the original poster or anything, obviously, but I do want to go over this. So they made a call-out post out of nowhere. I don't want to be too rude, but I genuinely can't understand how this goofball, and then he tags the guy, got a beautiful girl like, and then he tags the girl. He says the dorkiest shit, yet has a massive following. I just can't wrap my head around how any girl would go for that. I really commend his efforts not to be rude. I think he did a great job of tiptoeing around it and being polite while also getting to the point. Extraordinary manners, clearly. Excuse me, everybody, not to be rude, but fuck this guy. He's got a girl and I don't, and he's a dork and I'm a Chad. What's going on here, guys? What an injustice. He's not ugly, but Sabrina is objectively hot, where he's average at best. He spends all his time on Twitter, unlike someone who has a full-time job and a ton of money he could use to provide for a stunning woman like herself. Nah, screw not trying to be rude. He's a loser, to be honest. Oh, he was doing such a good job of not being rude too, and then the wheels just fall off. It goes tits up. He really goes off the rails. I like how he's like analyzing this now as if he's a researcher studying the phenomenon. He's average at best, but Sabrina is on like a totally different plane. Like this something's not adding up here. There's something foul afoot. And then he had the gall to criticize that guy for being on Twitter all the time. Meanwhile, Goober is on Twitter all the time making whiny posts like this, just having a temper tantrum, tears in the eyes, shaking his fist. Why is she not with me? I want her. He doesn't deserve it. I deserve it. And then here comes the stone cold stunner right on his soul. So the girl that he was talking about and loosely tagging in his tantrum catches wind of it and drops the DMs that he continues to send her. She goes, I know your ass ain't tweeting this like you ain't been in my DMs constantly begging me for a chance like a desperate loser and refusing to take no for an answer like a disgusting creep. And here's the receipts, Twitter. Thank you for the receipts. God bless. I'll speak on behalf of all of Twitter when I say it's much appreciated. So it begins with, would you ever want to meet up someday? I'd love to see a movie or take you to dinner. Whatever you'd like. To which she responds, I'm flattered, but for one, I have a boyfriend and I don't think you even live near me. Oh, I like to travel, so it's not a problem, lol. And you're not married, right? There shouldn't be anything wrong with hanging out. No, but I don't feel like your intentions are platonic, so... She was right. She really sniffed that one out pretty quickly. You don't need to be, part of the Scooby-Doo mystery gang in order to crack this code here. She immediately deduced that this wasn't necessarily a friendship offer. This was him shooting his shot. But I love how he just immediately goes like, well, you're not married, so I mean, like... what's the harm? I don't see a ring on your finger. And he continues, no, I'm absolutely being platonic. My intention is just that I want a chance to prove that maybe I could a candidate as well. Like maybe you'd have more fun with me. Just to weigh your options, About to have me talking like a Sims character with that kind of cringe. Like, what do you mean? Weigh her options? Brother, you came out of nowhere in Twitter DMs. Why the fuck would she want to weigh options with you? Like, she's already in a relationship which she makes clear off rip and you still keep pressing. But you know what? Let's go even deeper here. We'll get into real fanfic levels of garbage and delusion. Let's assume she's in an open relationship and would actually, want other options, I suppose, in a partner. It's not gonna be you through Twitter DMs. That's just dangerous. No one's going to take you up on shit like this, especially not when you're coming out fucking guns blazing, fucking firing from the hip out of nowhere. And there's no possibility of that anyway in reality, because she actually shuts that down directly too. No, you're not, because you're still pushing something further even after knowing that I'm in a committed relationship with Blake, so there's no options. Learn how to take no for an answer. A lesson he absolutely refuses to learn. So he continues. I'm just confident in my abilities as a partner on all levels. I'm certain I can give you everything you desire, and perhaps better than he can. I apologize for persisting. You're just breathtaking, and I want you. I'm willing to fight for you at this point. To which she responds, there's no fighting for me, you don't know me, and you couldn't give me anything that her current partner doesn't. She lays into him. She lays down the brass tacks here. And basically he says, that's a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them. Because he refuses to accept anything she is saying and only continues to exist in this dimension in his brain that is disconnected from the reality here. But I will say, he has piqued my curiosity. I have to know what abilities he's so confident in here. Like, balloon animals? Like, he learned a magic trick from Chris Angel? Like, what abilities are we talking about? Because it's certainly not, like, romantic abilities whatsoever. He's fucking cold calling like a telemarketer here through Twitter DMs. So he responds again saying, I had to give my 100%. If we're being truthful here, I don't think he deserves you. I see what he tweets, and he's dorky as hell. You're hot and one of the kindest people I've ever seen on this app. What do you mean? Like, I'm guessing he just like stalks her feed or something. He's like, he's making up this fantasy in his head where it's like, this is an angel and I should be with her. Clearly, this guy's too dorky, too much of a dweeb, doesn't deserve that. It's so creepy. I have a good job and I'd be willing to let you crash with me at my place for as long as you'd want if you'd be willing to give me a chance someday. That's so generous. I mean, wow. He'd be willing to let her crash at his place? Wow. And they say chivalry is dead, huh? I don't even know why he's making that offer. I don't think that's something anyone would want to do. I don't know why he's making it sound like he'd be willing to make a sacrifice by letting her live with him when he's fucking obsessed with her. It's oh my god, it's so fucking weird. I'd take care of you, but you everything you want? Oh, buy you everything you want and give you anything you'd need. I haven't found any ladies in my area that share my same interests or honestly that are as beautiful as you are. I guess you just brought out my competitive side, lol. You absolute weenie. It's not a competition. And if dating was a competition, you're gonna stay losing with an attitude like this. I don't know why he's treating it like a game of Counter-Strike where if he just plays it properly, he'll go ahead and squeak out the W. She's already in a relationship. No matter what you do here through fucking Twitter DMs, it's not going to change that and she's not going to want to go with you. No matter how much you lecture her about why her current partner doesn't deserve her, which is an outrageously weird thing to do. You don't even know them to begin with. You are just someone that is stalking their fucking Twitter feeds, I guess. Like, this whole thing is super creepy. And he just doesn't see it. So she posts these DMs, and obviously a lot of people started dunking on him for it. And instead of trying to learn from it and understand why this isn't a good thing, he takes it as another opportunity to proclaim his love for this stranger. He says, "You have to be lying. Why is everyone acting like I'm crazy? Sabrina is drop dead, sexy. Block A or Blake, whatever the fuck, is not. He's painfully average and mediocre at best. As I said before, he ain't ugly, but compared to her, he might as well be. Sabrina's figure is what I'd call perfection. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I'm trying to make a simple point. Her hair is majestic, her face is gorgeous, and her body is literally to die for. Not to mention she's strong and takes what she wants. I admire that. And she doesn't want you, so admire that and come to terms with it. She will never want you, no matter how many times you make Twitter posts about her, obsessing over her. It's scary. It's unhinged. Stop it. Like, I don't know how else to like put it in plain terms. But even with people putting it in the plainest terms for someone to understand, he still just thinks that like his intellect is above everyone else's and no one's understanding his point. So after all of this kind of blows up, he then starts sending her more DMs about it. He comes back around into the DMs saying he didn't mean to put her on the spot, to which she responds, "You did, now Twitter sees the creep that you are." And he says, "I don't think of myself as a creep, I'm just being honest and straightforward." And she says, "No, you're a loser and a creep who doesn't understand the word no." She's right. It's very blunt, but it is correct. The way he is behaving here is not taking no for an answer and being very creepy. Again, they don't even know each other. And he has become this obsessive over this whole situation. Like, even so much as saying, like, he doesn't deserve you, it's me, this and that. And he doesn't recognize why that's creepy. And I know that's not exclusive to just him. It's very important to have self-awareness and self-reflection where you can separate yourself from a situation, take a step back, and see how things look. He needs to be able to have that ability. That's an ability he should be confident in, so he can recognize that the way he has conducted himself here is creepy. You are a creep in this exchange, and you need to grow from it to not be like this going forward. And he just keeps going. "I thought you'd appreciate my persistence. I thought wrong. You turned the app against me. I didn't get any engagement before that tweet. People really lined up to defend that dude. I didn't think he was that like, to be honest with you." It has nothing to do with the individual in this case. It just all has to do with you being creepy and people wanting to let you know that what you're doing is not okay. He's just not able to grasp the situation, and I also don't know why he would think this persistence would be appreciated. Again, you don't even know her. And being extremely persistent and annoying about shit is something nobody likes. Not even in a romantic partner, but in general, even as a friend. If you're just gonna keep like poking and pestering and like constantly prodding, no one's going to like that. She then explains to him again how what he's done is something nobody will appreciate, and he just ignores it and says, nobody on this app understands what my point even was that I was trying to make. What point? You're not making a point. You just keep saying how much you like her and find her boyfriend to be dorky and unworthy of her. What point are you talking about? There's not some like deeper underlying message that you're trying to get across that we're all too stupid to see. You're just being a weirdo for everyone to see publicly and throw tomatoes at. This is the last DM here that was shared. He says, I treat women with the utmost respect, actually. That's the impression I got as well. Yeah, no, yeah, that's what I got when reading this too. To which he responds, you don't when you can't accept the word no, and objective women. Your loss, I guess. That's just a classic sign-off from like every single one of these meltdowns and bad romantic exchanges. Somehow it always ends with the guy saying, your loss, I'm actually like the best dude ever, I'm like the chillest, nicest guy ever, and you just blew it with me, so put that in your pipe and smoke it. You'll be thinking about that every night trying to go to sleep. What a big loss for you. I don't know why that's so common amongst all of this, but it is very interesting to see it every single time. But anyway, I just wanted to share this because I've been so fucking deep into these like weirdo romantic exchanges and all of that, so that's really about it. See ya. There's so many things in this world that can make you frown. Undercooked meat, getting a porta potty tipped over on you while you're inside, just to name a couple. I want to give you something that can make you smile. One of those public nuisance streamers whose whole existence revolves around making everyone's lives around them worse as their content has just been arrested. 2023 has actually been a pretty solid year for streamers everyone hates getting thrown in the slammer, finally facing some real repercussions for their awful behavior and unbelievable cringe, such as the streamer Johnny Somali, who is still currently in jail in Japan right now, God bless. Now, I haven't seen a follow-up to the individual we're going to talk about right now, so I'm going to delve into fantasy like it's the fucking Magic Treehouse here. In my little headcanon fanfic, he is currently sitting in his prison cell blubbering his little eyes out like a bitch. And this clip actually makes me extremely happy. It reminds me that Christmas is right around the corner because it gets me in a joyful spirit, and just as old Saint Nicholas taught us, it's better to give than to receive. So I wanted to give you all the gift of a big ear-to-ear grin as we watch this insufferable asshole get arrested, but also what led up to it.
Hey, listen up. You look so cute and you look so delectable. I want to put you on a plate and just eat you up. How about that? What's your name, baby? I know you're sorry. You're sorry you can't get with a hunk like me. You're sorry you're stuck with a cuck that you fucking cheat on. You record videos of you sucking off other guys, and he wants to see that shit. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This guy's voice sounds like someone doing an impression of a Redditor. He's got that quintessential nasally loser voice, and clearly he knows he's not actually going to end up getting this girl's number or anything like that. He's being as abrasive as possible because it's content for his stream to entertain them by just going up and harassing women as much as possible. Admittedly, this guy is also self-aware enough to recognize that he is a creep, but instead of doing anything to fix that and better himself, he's more than happy to lean into it as much as possible to become the ultimate creep. He has adopted it as his only personality trait, being a loveless, sexless loser, and tries to make a career out of it. He is actually striving to be a professional dumpster for everyone in the chat to spit in and laugh at. It is pathetic. Dude's out here more dripless than I am, by the way. He's out here rocking a yellow t-shirt, bright yellow, looking like Curious George's friend. the man in the yellow jacket. Goober's also got some of the worst posture I've ever seen in public. He's more hunched over than that iconic photo of Goat Man in the forest. So I already know when he's not out in public harassing people for his stream, he's inside on the computer doom scrolling the internet, rotting and withering away. Now, of course, I'm not usually one to criticize posture, because sometimes when I'm streaming, I get fucking hunched over and right up against the monitor too. But at least when I'm out in public, I'm self-aware enough to recognize that you gotta straighten that shit up.
And that happens regularly, right? Tell me I'm right on the money or not. Tell me, okay, listen up, baby. I'm so sorry. You know, I really tried. God damn you. Her booty's so small. Fuck.
It's so cute how he also has a friend with him that's doing the same thing, but from a distance, kind of whispering it to stream, just insulting the girl for the audience. What an unbelievable power couple of fucking douchebags.
I don't want to bother you guys. I'm not trying to be creepy in any way, but can I get like one of your numbers and I'll be on my way and then we can meet up?
We're actually going to go meet our boyfriends right now.
Oh, so I can't take you out or do anything like that?
Yes, really quick, just stop right now.
Sorry.
Doesn't matter what you want. Do you want?
We're just,
right
here's what we're wondering.
I'm sorry.
You're just so fucking hot.
That second encounter right there is nightmarish. This girl's walking on the street alone. Two weirdos come up to her and say, "It doesn't matter what you want." And you can see her facial expression drop, just completely sink into a panic mode. I have no doubt she expected to be attacked by them or something, and you can see she picked up the pace, because who wouldn't? That's a fucking weird thing to have happen. That's frightening. And especially from these two guys who are just walking around, camera out, coming up to you in the middle of the night. Like, what the fuck? This whole shtick sucks. It's just going up and bothering people who are just going about their night. Just randomly coming up to women. "Hey, pardon me, toots. Unsucked penis is a disease and I'm suffering from it. Are you the cure? You should be." Well, it's fucking dumb. And it's a lot worse than that. It's worse than just going up and doing cringy lines. It's sticking around, bothering people, and in this case, scaring a woman who's walking home alone.
Want to be my girlfriend for 5 minutes? Do you want to just kind of go on a little date?
We're going to walk for a bit.
Okay.
Just a pinky.
Okay.
Pinky?
So you can hold my hand.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I'm here with my girlfriend. I'm here with my girl. Can you guys just shut the fuck up? I'm here with my girlfriend.
Okay,
Just shut the
don't
fuck
scare
up.
people.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm here with my girlfriend. You're making too much noise. Get the fuck out of here, asshole. Fucking prick. I'm so sorry, Luna.
No,
I'm so
this is
no.
dumb.
Please. No, I was just protecting you.
No,
I was
I don't
protecting you,
want that,
baby.
no.
Please.
Ha ha, you get it? The joke is he's just pretending to be an unhinged lunatic. I don't know why you couldn't understand the gut-busting comedy of that. I'm gonna toss a quick fun fact your way, so get ready to receive it. About a month ago, I made a video going over shitty streamers like this guy and his friend, and I'm almost 100% certain that this is the same guy that ran away when someone he was harassing finally took him up on the offer to fight. He was the guy that instigated a conflict, and then the guy he was doing it to said, "Alright, let's just settle it right now." And immediately this guy bolted off. I'm being very generous with that term. Bolted in the same way that an alcoholic zombie would stumble across the street, because this guy is not athletic at all. But he ran away as quickly as his goofy little legs could take him, and then had this brief come-to-Jesus moment where he recognized just how sad and pathetic he is. Just this impressive specimen of trash.
All right, you and me, Central Park, tomorrow. Don't be late, motherfucker.
All right. I hope he doesn't chase me because I don't want to fight him. Am I a pussy beta? Perhaps. But I don't know.
Using all the latest and greatest in technology and summoning the world's leading forensic experts to analyze the footage here, I think we can all conclude with a high level of confidence that this guy and the guy that I've been showing you who's about to get arrested here on stream are the same person. There's just no way that this world is forsaken enough to allow two people that sound, look, and act like him and stream like him to exist at the same time. I just don't believe that. It's the same person. I'm pretty sure of it.
You love it.
You know that there's like a...
Excuse me, what's going on? Oh, what's going on?
Relax.
Put your hands behind your back.
Put your hands behind your back.
What's going on?
You're being placed under arrest.
For what?
We'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah. You just want to talk to you, you want to run. All right, now we're going to put you on your side.
So they're arresting Carl, guys? Carl did nothing wrong?
Ah, yes, the good ending. Tugs on your heartstrings. It's a beautiful thing to witness. You love to see that. I can't imagine a more fitting conclusion here. I don't know why his buddy's saying he did nothing wrong. He immediately tried to run from the cops who were about to start talking to him. You can't do that. Like, what the fuck? I imagine they got called there for a disturbance, like, hey, there's this weirdo and his weirdo friend that keep harassing everyone nearby, so the cops are coming to tell him to, like, cut that shit out. And then Chief Goofball here immediately tries to run. Well, it's not really a run. This guy and run don't really go in the same sentence. He takes, like, 2 fee-fi-fo-fum steps that kind of resemble, like, speedier movement, and the cops are like, nah, putting the kibosh on this, and they just tackle him, they take him down, and then stand him back up. So, again, I don't know what the update is. I don't know if he's still in custody or what, or if there's any charges. I couldn't tell you. It just makes me happy to see that. Just a big ol' asshole getting taken off the streets there. So, I thought that might put a smile on some of your faces. That's about it. So, yep. Let's do some To Catch a Predator. We already watched the horny level guy. Why is it re-uploaded? Thanks to the Prime Berkey Turkey and the resub Aztec Ace. When you think of Hunger Games, you think of me, District 8 Hospital Helper from Mockingjay Part 1. It's like trying to think of Christmas without thinking of Santa Claus. It's impossible. I am the Hunger Games. So when I heard they were making a new film, I was excited to get the phone call to reprise my role and make my triumphant return to the franchise. But unfortunately, we all know how that played out. My phone never rang, and I know a lot of enthusiasts for the District 8 Hospital Helper were holding on to this hopium that I was just pulling your leg trying to make it like a big marketing tactic, like, oh, I'm not in it, but really I am. Now that the movie's out, you'll soon have that cold reality set in on you that I'm not in it. Thus, I knew this film was doomed to failure. It's called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and that second part couldn't be more true. Nothing but snakes here. They didn't give me a role, and now they pay the piper. It's not doing super well with both audience and critics alike, and I can't help but get a tingling sensation that I know the reason why. It feels like this movie was an afterthought. I think the first draft of this script most likely focused on District 8 Hospital Helper and my origin story, but last second someone at the executive board at the top of the food chain said, no, we can't bring him back, he was too good. Thus they decided to tell the origin story of President Snow. And unfortunately, it just doesn't really work that well. The whole second half of this film feels like it was a complete rush just to get it over with, while still trying to maintain all the story beats of the book that it's based off of. They did a horrible job in the whole second, well, part 3, because the movie's 3 parts, and it really does feel like 3 movies blended together, and then the third one is fucking abhorrent, honestly. Like, when I went to see it with friends and we were talking afterwards, there were just so many different things you could point to, scratch your head, and be like, what were they thinking? They would have really benefited from just making this 2 films. I don't know why they were so insistent on it being 1, because then it just takes away from everything. If they made it 2 films, they would have had a much, much easier time fleshing out our main characters as well as their motivations, so that way by the time you get to the end, there is a payoff that feels earned and makes sense. Whereas in this film, when you get to part 3, the fucking asshole blows right off. It's just this giant prolapse of things happening for the sake of things happening that are bad. So the whole first 2 parts of the movie position Snow as like a good, morally positive character. Outside of a few select instances where he does something that's morally questionable, but even those you can make arguments for that could be for the greater good in the position that he's currently in to work with. They set him up as a sympathetic, understandable character for the first 2 parts. And then I guess at some point they're like, oh shit, wait, he's the bad guy. And we all know he's supposed to be the bad guy because of the main franchise. He's the villain. So in part 3 they're like, well, how do we make him a bad guy? Just have him do these evil things for the sake of being evil. Like, it comes out of nowhere. Instead of it being like this slow, tragic descent into being a bad person, it's just this switch that gets flipped. Like, even he, in the movie, starts questioning why he's doing evil things. I don't want to get into spoilers, but he does something, that causes one of the most important people to him to suffer in a big way. And he just starts breaking down, like questioning why he's doing it, and we're left questioning why he's doing it because they don't really flesh out how he gets to the point to want to do something like that. It also didn't really serve much of a purpose to his character to do that in the moment either, especially when at the very end he kind of contradicts the motive behind doing it in the first place. It's so hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, but it's very silly. Now, let's go ahead and get deeper. I don't think the movie itself is like a horrible pile of garbage. It just really had too much it wanted to cover, and obviously not enough time to do it, so everything kind of gets dragged down. The first two parts are definitely stronger than the last part, that's for sure, but even they're not that great. So Lucy Gray is, of course, one of the main characters with Snow, and she just doesn't get any real level of fleshing out, unfortunately. Of course, Katniss had tons of movies to develop and everything, but in this film, you only have one for Lucy Gray, so a lot of times it's kind of hard to root for her, especially because most of her screen time is spent singing, it feels like. She's there kind of just to deliver musical numbers, and they become a little annoying towards the end, because it's like all she does. It's like the only characteristic she has is to just sing. And that's fine if they would have had a little more to her as a character. Now, I want to be clear, I think all of the performances from the main cast are pretty good. It's just unfortunate they weren't given high quality material to work with, because they're trying to make the most out of some poop here. I'm talking some stink. Some of these lines in here are laughable, like really, really dog shitty. Now, I also have to mention this because this had us giggling. Within the first, 45 minutes or so, of course, a lot of characters get introduced, but it feels like when they brought in Lucy Gray, like when she first arrives at the Capitol, they must have watched the "I'm the Joker, baby" YouTube video and then modeled her first interaction just like that. It's so weird because she doesn't really act like that for the rest of the film. It's just like the first couple times we're introduced to her, she's being all turbo quirky, and then it's immediately thrown away. They must have been like, this is probably just the wrong direction to take her. Which they were right. If that had continued, that would have been insufferable. But yeah, anyway, like I mentioned, the first two parts are not the worst thing in the world or anything. There is some sloppiness to them, there is some silliness to them, but there is charm too. It's not, awful or anything. I can't dive in too deep without spoilers, and I'm trying hard not to get into those here. But you get what you expect. There is a Hunger Games. It's a very, stripped down version of it because it's still so early. This is when they're just trying to figure out how do we get people hooked on it. So that's when, of course, they introduce the other elements, which bring it into the state that we saw it in the initial franchise. It is interesting seeing the Capitol before all of, the super advanced technology and before all the gaudiness and glamour that gets introduced. So I think the setting, of course, is still fun. And the first two parts do offer some entertainment there. The third part, though, is legitimately a slog. It's way too long of a film, not because I think 2 hours and 40-something minutes can't work. I mean, it has plenty of times in the past. But here, the last 50 or so minutes is spent in part 3, and they just have too much they wanted to go over. It should have been a separate film or a series, because it just does not work tacked on here at the end. It's just like this hemorrhoid that's on the little butt of the rest of the film. It's not very good. It's painful. It really is. But narratively, it's the most important moment. This is the most important stuff happening, but we have no emotional weight to any of it because they have to just blast through it, just fucking set it ablaze to get through before it reaches the 4-hour mark. They just had way too much and not enough time because they had to cram it all into the last 50 minutes. So part 3 super sucks. I don't even know where I'd begin. Aaron compared it to Moonfall, starting to teeter on Moonfall levels of disaster in the third part. And I have to agree, it kind of got close to the outrageousness of how Moonfall was. It is bad at the end. There were so many problems with how they executed the third part. But I'm not just going to sit here and linger on that. Like I said, overall, the movie itself isn't the worst thing ever. It's definitely the worst Hunger Games movie, and it's not even close. Not only because I'm not in it, though I think that does play a huge role. It's just a giant, tedious, jumbled mess of a film. I just don't really think it's worth the time. But you know what is worth your time? Starforge PCs. The best PCs in the universe. And right around the corner, we've got our Black Friday sales where you get 100% off PCs all the way through to November 27th. We have tons of PCs at multiple different price points to give you exactly what you need. So if you need to upgrade, get yourself a Starforge. If you're looking to start with PC gaming, check out Starforge's selection. There's a link in the description. But yeah, like I said, overall, Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is not very good. No official moist meter on it, but if I was giving one, I'd probably pop that puppy in around like a 50%-ish, somewhere in that general ballpark. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah. I've never had a threesome, and I've never had an experience where I read something so cringe that it made my tummy upset. One of these two things is about to change today, and I don't think it's the threesome. I just read something from, yet again, my deep diving onto the horrors of modern dating with absolute deranged weirdos. And the whole interaction was so mind-bogglingly peculiar that my body couldn't help but suffer from a physical reaction after finishing this adventure here. I don't know where these men are coming from. These dudes are just being printed in the cringe factory and being thrown into the dating world as like the worst NPC encounters you could ever have. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. But before doing that, just a quick heads up. The Moist Global Retro Basketball line is still available right now. This is the best assortment of merch the internet's ever seen, so you can go to moistglobal.com right now and pick something up. Links in the description. I just read some of the backstory she was posting about this situation in the comments, and it's actually pretty sad. Apparently these two had been dating for about 3 years. It was a horrible situation all around, and a couple months ago she left and took the kids. But this is the most recent interaction between the two of them. She 100% made the right move in leaving. This guy seems like a fucking menace. But anyway, it begins innocently enough. That's good, just working away with 3 exclamation points, so he's having a jolly old day at work. Did you get to the doctors yet? She says, yeah, I have COVID. What did he say it give you? What? What did the doctor say or give you to feel better? Take Advil, Tylenol, sleep as much as you can, and quarantine. This is so timely because I myself just finished going through COVID over the last 11 or so days. And this is the 3rd time it's fisted me. It has gone elbow deep in my ass 3 times, and all 3 times that is the exact same advice I was given by doctors. Now, of course, you can still ask for like a Paxlovid prescription if you want. It should help with like symptoms, but it's not usually the first thing they give you unless you're someone who is at risk for like complications, I think. It is an option, but typically they'll just tell you that. You know, take Tylenol, sleep it off, rest, fluids, simple stuff like that. So, it seems innocent enough here. And the guy